Some of the things might be confusing that are written, but they'll be explained when they happen. All right. E4, E5. So far, so good. Bishop here. Bishop C5. I ain't changing a damn thing. And you know what's funny? Is that we've gone the entire series. That is all the way up to 1600. And not once have we ever seen this opening. Can you believe it? Not once? That's very unusual. Well, it's almost poetic that we get to see this right when we're on level 4. So the Evans, we're going to take here, and after C3, we're going to put the bishop. A few of you already have a pretty decent idea. On E7. Oh, and our opponent is just going to castle, which is slightly unusual because I think we can just develop and castle. So I wouldn't say this is the most dangerous Evans line. A little bit soft castling there. Here, instead of capturing in the middle and maybe handing over a beautiful center, I think we're gonna stick with D6 here. Now the Evans never succeeds with the move D5. Like, this is never a smart idea, so don't really have to worry about it. We want to castle, snork up just like every other position. Now here we have a couple options, but truthfully, I don't see a problem with castling. I'm not seeing it because we have Queen E8 here, so it's a momentary move, but the whole Evans is basically ganging up on this pawn, and well, as long as we defend it, then we should be pretty set. It's so interesting that we start level 4 with a specific opening like the Evans, because this is something that we have a really specific variation that we play, which is exactly what you're seeing here. Take the pawn and come back bishop e7. We didn't even get a chance to see the opening played very well because white kind of castled and gave us an easier variation. But you can imagine before our pieces developed, it might have been tougher. The queen goes back. This pawn is hanging in the middle, but we don't need to do anything too crazy. So instead of going for this, let's keep it real simple and snork up. And oh, look, okay. This looks pretty nice. This looks pretty nice. Okay. Well, I can't complain. Opponent plays f4. I've been waiting to take this pawn in the center of the board. I feel like now's not a bad time. So let's do it. If we're going to take either one of these, I think it makes more sense to take the center pawn for many reasons, but also with the rook looking at our queen there, doesn't feel great. So yeah, this feels good. I want to take the pawn in the center. And at this point, I'm probably just sticking to habits. Okay, knight's attacked. Let's just go back and, we can get our bishop out and rook into the middle. That feels pretty nice. Okay, bishop B2. It's time to develop. Let's bring our bishop out. Bring our rook to the middle. And see if we can get a good first game here. Okay, our opponent's up to some stuff. We're up to some stuff too. Our bishop here made a nice threat to skewer the queen and the rook, which is pretty good. So I think most likely I'm gonna do something with that. Feels pretty hard to ignore. We can definitely take first, just open the center up for the rook maybe, but I would say bishop there next looks pretty logical. Ooh, okay, and he's actually going to prevent it, but we end up getting perhaps a bunch of pawns for it, so not unhappy. Let's bring the rook to the center. It's with the tempo. But yeah, rook always in the middle, so there's not really any discussion about whether it would go there. We just know that it does, and let's continue to capture. Okay, well, we've kind of we've done what we set out to do. Can we bring the knight into the center? Not really. This is like a little bit of an issue. Maybe we can improve our bishop, have it hit the center. We'll see what he wants to do. The rook's got to move. I assume he's going to play like rook f2. Seems like it would make the most sense. He could go rook f3 and blunder bishop g4, which is just a simple pin. Or he could take another minute and do neither of those. I really expect rook f2. It's a good way to summarize it, Zelabegus. Ooh. Well, this is certainly an interesting move. Bishop takes f6. Okay. Well, seeing as the rook's hanging and my rook's defended, I think both moves could be played here, but I'll decide to take this one and we'll see what happens. Surely good things. Yeah, Zelabegus, I think that's a good summary of level 4 habits. It really is a lot of the same stuff we've been doing, but the order becomes much more important. Great move by my opponent here. Pinning our bishop, and it's not very easy for my queen to get out of this. Man, like, what can we really do? Going here so that we could get out of this pin by maybe going to e5, which is in the center. There's also d4, which is a check, and a fork. So queen f6 feels like a decent move and a great response. Let's also put our knight back. Not really doing anything on d8. Bishop hit. I think we move into the middle of the board here. And as usual, the snorkel on h6 just coming in handy at the end of the game. Wouldn't be the end of the world, but hey, if there was a pawn on that square, I wouldn't always have this to rely on. So just nice to have that h6 move there for us. And the guy's basically just going to run out of time here. We'll end off with some good trading habits. There we go. Well, GG. I do feel that much of this game was decided in the opening. We saw the Evans, and we never, ever see it. We never see it. Because we've never seen it, we never got to even talk about these lines, but when the Evans gets played, in my opinion, the best and easiest line, which is easy to replicate every time, is this. They're all going to play c3. And then when you bring the bishop back here, white runs into a funny, well, I guess, issue where the best line is to play, d4. d4 takes the center, and, something like this wouldn't necessarily be desirable. But after this, we've come back. This is like remembering those Caro-Kann lines. We actually get to put a knight on the side of the board very specifically, and only in this line. You're going to need this move in another line I'm going to show you in just a second here, but if white takes, we get to take and bring our pawn into the center. And what a privilege for all you degens that have been carefully omitting knights on the side of the board. If they play the Evans, you get to do it again. I bet that feels good. Not just any knight to the side, though. And we get to take. And at this point, your knight's going to come out. You're going to castle. Your queen might get attacked. You can go back. It's pretty safe. And you're also forking, which means you can only expect the knight to go back like this. So when the pawn goes up, even though your pawn on e5 is overwhelmed, I wouldn't worry about protecting it. Instead, we're giving it up altogether. So either they take it and we get that bishop, or they move the bishop back, and then we're happy to protect it. Our knight's not going to be lost. Don't worry, you're not going to get forked like this. We have a sneaky queen on d8 here. And even though it feels like a lot, I've never really had to second guess or think about the Evans as an opening ever again. I've just played this my whole life. And the Evans has never been effective, really. Now, does this really protect the pawn forever? Well, no, not really, right? We're not actually saving it. But remember, we already won a pawn on b4. So at this point, we're just developing, going back to habits. Eventually, we'll bring this knight back into the game, I'm sure. And white doesn't really get their normal attack where they like hit the f7 pawn. And I feel like that's what the Evans player wants. So if they happen to do it right here, what do we do now? Shudder. And it's really so interesting because had we seen the Evans any earlier in the series, it's a legitimate tricky opening. If I say the Evans to you right now and you think about maybe the games you've played against it, it's probably tricky, right? Like you probably look back on those games and think, well, okay, that was not an easy opening to handle. Like I don't look back on Evans games too fondly because it's pretty tricky. Yeah, knight h6. I mean, we're in need of defending this pawn, right? And moves like this and this, we would consider like just never, not ever, not once, right? They would never be a thing. Impossible to play. And so if the guy basically tries to take us like this, then knight here, and as long as you get rid of their bishop, they really can't hurt you as much as you'd expect. I agree with you, Nerlin. Yep. I agree with you, Nerlin. This opening was taking people out. So I was really wishing that the opponent would, I was kind of hoping that he would play queen b3, because then we would get a chance to see it a little bit better. But instead he played d4. Did he play d4? No. I was going to say, yeah, he castled. That's right. So we didn't get to see d4. We didn't get to see queen b3. And you can see how these moves actually make threats, so they're tougher to handle. Instead, our guy castled. So we didn't really have to work very hard. It was a very easy game. So sadly, first time we saw the Evans, I didn't feel that he gave it the best Evans try. So maybe we'll see it again, and we'll get another variation to look at. But for now, taking in bishop e7 and then remembering these ultra strange knight moves, it has been my favorite way to handle this. Doesn't mean it's the all-time best, but I definitely think it's pretty easy and all-encompassing. It always works against the Evans. So it just means that the Evans is an opening that doesn't happen very much, and when it does happen, at least I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to do to thwart it. So yeah, I never really have to worry about it. And yeah, now that we're prepared, or we've at least looked at a few things, we'll never see the Evans again, right? You agree? Anytime you look at something, yeah, never see that one again for the rest of eternity. Okay, sounds good. Well, that's what it means to study something. Yep, and if anyone would like some practice, please make sure to get your rating to about 1750, and then Tim Cannon will be waiting as the final raid boss of the Evans. Let's jump into another one here. Okay. With white, in general, our openings are not going to be too different. 1600. You gotta wonder, what's happening with a move like this? Queen to f6. Okay, well, we'll definitely take the center. This is pretty much what we would have done in level 3. Probably not in level 2, but certainly in level 3, right? This is not tricky, I think. So let's take. Bishop out. We can develop our bishop and also support the knight, so let's go ahead and do it. He's also developing 97. Knight can't go to f6. We're keeping our habits in mind here, which means we want to castle. I had to play this bishop out to defend there, but in general, we want to castle. So let's get the bishop out. Castling is on our mind. Castling, we do the same. Goes like this. Obviously, we do want to take that. And pawn in the middle of the board is generally going to get me interested. I'll take. Okay, we've taken everything now. And rook d8. Well, rook d8 hitting our bishop, it's clear that if we move the bishop away, there's going to be enough pieces hitting that. We're not here to hang free pieces, so I think we actually need to safeguard this bishop. I mean, it's kind of in the center of the board, and we can skip ahead to an RPM just to support it. When your pieces are on good squares, I mean, earlier we would just instinctively move it away, but as you become a little bit higher rated, you start to think to yourself, well, my bishop's on a good square. If I don't have to move it, I don't want to. He goes bishop back, and not exactly sure what this one does, but it does put the bishop on a square that's defended. That much is true. So we've got a pretty strong bishop here. I think we can just get our queen up. And so the guy goes knight to c6, which honestly, it could work out poorly for me. It's going to be a close call. But what I'm looking at is the move that I just threatened, bishop to g5. And at the moment, it would hang my knight in the middle. So kind of going to do a little bit of both, which is like, let me go for this trade. And let me try this tactic. I mean, it is a tactic here, and it does hit the queen. Oh. Oh. Okay. Rook takes d5. So, first of all, let me count the material. So yeah, if we just take this, we'll be ahead material. That's good. If we take this, we'll actually be down material. So have to be a little bit careful. But yeah, I think we can take this safely. Moves the queen. I think we can take this safely. Again, bishop is defending. And after queen there, I'm just going to make a rook move that happens to hit the queen. That seems to make sense. Queen goes over here. I think is it get the rook to the center time? Let's think for ourselves here. Queen g6. There's not really a red dot situation right now. So we're not, for example, we're not interested in playing like king to h1. So, okay, queen goes there, and let's just bring the rook to the middle. Has to be a decent idea. I think black's gonna get developed here. There's only one piece remaining, and there it goes. Hitting my rook, actually, so a bit annoying. I have to move it again. Annoying again. The bishop needs to move now. Where can we put this thing? Dude, did I just like... What just happened here? Every single move that the guy's making is like a beautiful gain of time. I thought I had a good position. Queen can't move literally anywhere that I'd like. Maybe a queen trade? Can I get any trade? Bishop trade? Can I get something? Dude, Where's the snork? I'd love one. It hasn't been my turn for like 10 moves. The guy's threatening something every damn day. Dude. Let me snork up, okay? Let me just, like, I don't have any squares, man. Just, I'll play h3. I'll even throw in a pawn for your troubles. I'll give you a pawn, but I get h3. No. This is one too far. This is one too far. Now you've given me a free piece. This cannot be good. I think we all know what move I'm locking in. Let me just say, is this the first time? Thank you. Thank you. Very uncomfortable game so far, but I'd like to report we have, in fact, got our snorkel. I know that everyone's talking about this. The people are, everyone's talking about it. It's the latest, greatest news, but we do have a snorkel. Let's go into the middle. Okay. Can we make some, sometimes when I'm not sure what pre-moves we're doing, I'm like, just moving my rook near my king, because At least it's nice and together there. So this one is going to be a pretty safe one, right? Because it is defended. Nice. And look at that. You see? We get a draw with 10 seconds against 2 minutes. And I mean, really, I was just going to kind of move my rook all around in here and move my king in this box. We take those. I know we were winning, but I mean, it's obvious to those that can see the times here, but if you weren't paying attention, we're lost here. We're lost here. So he had a pretty standard opening. I would say c4 is definitely a more advanced move. And then the order that things happen. Believe me, this capture would happen on a different level. But here we had a tactical idea that we had prepared. So we wanted to make sure we could do it in the best way possible. He sacked. And we chose to bring the rooks in before snorkeling. And as a result, every single move I had to react to until move 28. How crazy is that? So we really paid the price there. A late snork, but if you truly don't have time for it and you're not forgetting it, can't hold it against you too much. Very good game from the opponent. You saw the way he used the bishops. And also, I hope you were paying attention to something that I think is very important. So, queen trade offered, declined. Bishop trade offered, declined. And it's just important to note that while we do want trades, if we're down significant material, we are trying to avoid them, right? So this will be a big change from maybe earlier in the series where you might be down a pawn or two in an endgame and there's a rook exchange, you trade them. Well, at 16, 17, 1800, you trade those rooks, you're going to lose that pawn endgame every single time. But with the rooks on the board, that's not the case. Much better chance. So that should help us out in those positions. And I thought my opponent did it pretty well here. So something to pay attention to. E4. Okay, we see the French, which means time to take the entire center. The guy goes c5. And again, in this position, I'm just going to keep it open. It feels like a position that we're going to be happier if the position is open. All right, bring the knights out. Okay. Not the greatest. Well, so I have to defend this with my queen here, which is pretty bad. I guess I'm going to defend. Well, look, I don't want to block my bishop. Let's defend that. I don't want to block my bishop because I want to develop my bishop and then... Oh my goodness. Dude. What the hell opening am I... Is everyone else on level 4 as well? I thought I just activated level 4. I didn't realize, like, everyone else was doing it too. What the hell is this? Why am I in the fried liver? I'm literally in the fried liver right now. Oh my god, this is a disaster. Dude, I'm supposed to be able to castle here. Oh my goodness. Hands down the most disgusting opening of the entire series, I want to say. After 7 moves, the position I've liked the least. Can I snork up here? Like, get him out of here? Okay, we trade those. And we bring the bishop out. No, but this has been truly unfortunate. We want a castle. Okay, and bring the knight back. Trying to stick to our habits here. I need to move my queen out of the way so that I can move my bishop. This is not pretty. This is not pretty. Okay. This is something. He moves the queen. I've had enough of this. Let me trade everything. Please. Did not enjoy this opening. Okay. And let's bring the rook to the middle. Okay. Can bring our king out here. Maybe double the rooks. Okay. Well, RPMs in the center, I suppose. Let's go. RPMs in the center. I mean, it has to be here. Knight d2. Bishop takes e4. And I guess we continue with some RPMs here. Our king's a little bit better, so I'm feeling good about that. The next king move is going to be central bound here. So let's attack. Okay, bishop here. Take something. Bring the knight back to the normal square. I'd like to get my king into the middle. Maybe double the rooks again. And that'll probably be my setup. Yeah, I'm not sure where the guy's going, but let's finish off the RPMs. Got our king raging into the center of the board. And although we have the rooks on the board, I suppose now is like not the most unreasonable time to mention some of the things about knight and bishop endgames, which is, you know, whichever color the bishop's on. If you have a knight, those are the only 2 pieces on the board. It generally makes sense to operate on the opposite color of that bishop. And that's what we're doing here. I didn't even didn't realize how much we were doing it, but we're doing it. Everything is on dark squares. And you see that habit written on the screen right here. We could also push the pawn as well. Let's try it. Well, yeah, the knight versus bishop endgame habit would be covered by the knight versus bishop endgame habit. Okay, let's go here. I know there are rooks on the board, so it's not quite knight against bishop, but it's quite likely that the it's quite likely that the pieces trade. So we want to already be ready for knight against bishop. Lots of dark square action here. Let's continue pushing our pawn. Okay, we're gonna win a pawn here, but generally I think we'll keep pushing. He's attacking the knight, but we can trade, which I think should be pretty good for us. We can keep pushing. Guard this. We want to be using our king a lot, but okay, we're gonna leave that there. Leave him caged in. Notice how the bishop doesn't have any power over any of our pieces. What it can do is check my king, so I'll give him that. I will give him that. Okay, guys, I'm not seeing a solid answer here. Oh, wait a minute. It's possible, guys. It's possible. It's all on dark squares. This is why we set this up. Now, he could sneak up on by us here. He definitely could. But more likely is that we're going to be able to make it happen in this position. Wait a minute. He had that there the whole time? So we hide our king and we stutter step the queens? Wait a minute. Do we really get to do that? We just set up a ladder, just like the homework. Just like the homework. Don't forget the crucial step of just getting your king out of the way. If people start like if the king's already here and you guys start laddering this way, the guy's gonna tuck himself behind. You gotta just get the king the heck out of the way and then hit the ladder. And that's how it's done. And yes, we have a whole course. The Checkmates course. Not just this, but many others explained, not just explained either. Examples, video explanation, text explanation, and a couple different methods. So not only do we have a nice reliable slow method, but also a method that will work with pre-moves when you're low on time. Exclamation mark, checkmates. This method right here works every time. Works every single time. Pre-movable. Hello, Dustin. We got a bit lucky there that the time got so low, but look at what happened here. Our time was super low, 5 seconds, but you see the type of position we had. Black only has a bishop. And what did I say earlier about setting our pawns up for this knight and bishop endgame? I said the rooks are very likely going to trade. So all the way back here, I wouldn't mind starting to think about the relationship of these two pieces and how we always want to have dark square pawns. So this makes sense. So this makes sense. And then g4 on its way to g5 makes sense. And now we've got all dark square pawns. Even the pieces are all in dark squares. Once we play rook d6, I think, which was next. Yeah. So the pieces can't be touched. The pawns look pretty nice. And notice how our opponent was not bringing the king into the game. That would have saved black a ton. But instead, we had our active king. Felt pretty good. We got some trades. And to be honest, we got a little bit lucky that the opponent wanted to trade the rooks here, because if not, it could have been a much different story. And the reason why it's so good to have this is even if you have 5 seconds, you can pre-move because you know that none of your stuff can be taken. And you know that all of your opponent's pawns can. So it's really easy to predict what your opponent's going to do because none of their moves matter. I don't care where this bishop goes. It could go like literally anywhere here. None of it would affect me or anything I'm doing. No, I wouldn't say you'd rather have a knight than a bishop, but if you do have a knight, you should know what makes a knight better so that you can do it. If you had the bishop, then obviously you would have things that you need to do to make the bishop better. But in this case, we could clearly see that since we had the knight, that was the POV, the perspective that we had on the situation. So that's what we could learn from. Let's see. What are we going to get here? We are going to get a move, and I'm glad it's d4 because I would say the most likely next move is c4 or the London. And against c4, we haven't really been doing that well. We haven't really been doing that well in these positions. So really, I'm going to keep most of it the same, but just defend this pawn so that we maintain a pawn in the center of the board. It's not going to be a big change, but we just want to make sure we're always recapturing with a pawn here. Bishop here. Okay, obviously we do want to do this, but with this pawn under attack, we're just going to go here. We can snork up early, see what he wants to do. No, we want to get castled. Bringing the knight out. And yes, we do want to develop this knight, but the same way that we don't like playing these moves when the pawns are behind it, we don't really like playing this move with a pawn behind it as well. This bishop may or may not ever develop this way, right? I can't guarantee that my opponent's going to take me on d5. At some point, maybe I'll take on c4, but for now, this bishop on c8 needs something to do, and certainly something we're going to try to reduce is knight c6, because you got that pawn behind that would much rather be in front. So we're going to try to avoid that. Our bishop needs a home. I don't mind playing this move, getting our bishop this way, and the knight, instead of going in front of that pawn, can go to a square that makes a little bit more sense, which is just d7. It's still towards the center, also supports our knight. And from there, I think we have a pretty nice position. We'll get our rook into the middle. The guy goes bishop g3. Maybe we can offer a trade with him. Ooh, well, we'll stick to our habits here and just take. Obviously not with the knight, or we would get forked. But yeah, we'll take, and then we'll go right into the middle. So still staying true to all the habits that we've learned along the way, but definitely taking a bit of an extra effort to make sure that this bishop finds a decent home and that the knight doesn't just go on c6 where it blocks that pawn. Okay, we got en passant. It's forced, right? Okay, let's bring the pieces to the middle. Queen takes c7. Okay, let's try to get in the center of the board and offer a queen trade. Another interesting thing here is the knight against the bishop once again. So we'll see if that plays a role going forward. Goes rook up. It seems like we can infiltrate a little bit here. Goes rook d4. This is a funny looking position. I wonder if I play rook d7. Do you guys think he's going to play rook d1? What do you think? It's quite possible. It really looks like it should make sense. No, he's smart. Although, to be fair, he could still play it, but I still like his still like his decision anyway. I think it's possible still. I'm not gonna lie. So b4, our knight clearly needs to move. Yes, there are other options, but the good knight moves don't really exist here. So it's a little bit tough. Got to move our knight to some kind of unfortunate squares here, but as usual, I'm going to avoid the side of the board if I can. All right, smart guy is not... he's not doing anything. We're in an endgame, so I think we'll bring our king over. We still have basic rules to follow. Okay, bring our king up. Let's take that. Okay, pawn to c6. Well, my pieces are kind of getting chucked around here. It's not very fun. My knight's not really supposed to be on b7, so he takes. Let's see if we take here. All right, now again, really all we know about knight and bishop endgames are that that we kind of want the pawns to be on the opposite color of the bishop. That's really the best tip that I have. Okay, pushes there. I guess it makes good sense to try to fork here. Now, another interesting thing is I feel like you guys are thinking to yourself, man, now that we're on the new habits, we have so many knight and bishop endgames. No, we've had them throughout. It's just we haven't looked at them as if they were something that we could do anything about before. That's never happened. Bring our king up to the middle here. So I promise you, we've had lots of these, but we just haven't played them properly. Okay, so we're getting our king into the middle. Can do the same with our knight. The real question is, what do we do next? Oof. Maybe put the knight in the center. Looks like a fairly safe pre-move as well. I mean, the guy can play g4, but... Oh. Okay. Now we get the knight back in the middle. And can we start pushing? We somehow need to push, like... Okay, like... check the king, so he has to... So he has to move. Okay. We're doing pretty well in the center here. Advancing the pawns one at a time. Okay, let's make sure to get rid of these. Hey, we just had this. Dude, it's the same endgame. Okay, let's put the king out of the way. And let's... Okay. Yeah. Got the king out of the way the wrong way. Awkward. Let's... Ladder. There we go. Are we playing the same game? I feel like I'm in a simulation. The last couple games that we've played, they feel like the same game. It's always been knight and bishop. It's always been two queens. Always been a ladder checkmate. What's happening? It's really pleasant to play knight against bishop when you're pre-moving, because if you have your pawns on the opposite color, then you know they're safe. So at no point am I sitting here worried that this bishop is just going to collect all my pawns. This is the ideal setup for me. White has the pawns on the same color as the bishop. We have it on the opposite. I'm not sure what principle there is to learn from that, Celebegus, but or whether it's being applied here or not. But when I have two pawns without this pawn, and I'm advancing them, I certainly would not advance them this way, because then the bishop would be effective in blocking them. So I would always advance them like on the same color as the bishop, and then join them, and then on the same color as the bishop, and then join them, and then on the same color as the bishop. And they will be much more effective at moving up the board that way. But even the second you advance them on the opposite color, they're safe there. So I would only do this if I wanted to just put the pawns on safe squares. But if I wanted to actually like mobilize them, I would never do this, because they would probably get stuck. But if I was pushing my pawns and they were being attacked, that would be the safest way to have them. However, if they're supported and I think I can motor them all the way down the board, then I would never do it. Which is why I want them on opposite colors here, because they're not becoming queens. They're just there. Like, I just want them safe. But as soon as like we're actually going down the board, then I want them always on the dark squares. And yeah, we were about to play f2 at the end. So opposite color when you just want them to be safe, but as soon as you're actually mobilizing them, same color as the bishop, so that you're not giving the bishop any opportunity to block them. The best that white could do would be to just give up the whole bishop for the pawns, but obviously that's something that most of the time you're going to be happy with. Thank you, Amandost. Welcome in. Okay, let's have a look here. The games are a bit slower to start, is what I've noticed. Okay, let's go here. We want to get our knight out. Can get our bishop out as well. And one of the reasons why I would say bishop instead of the knight first is just because we're trying to stop putting our knight in front of that pawn when we have a pawn here. It's just not a very harmonious structure. So I'll be playing this and either moving my pawn and playing the knight there or putting the knight here instead. It's much more solid that way. We can get our bishop out. We can castle, snork, same stuff, but really the big amendment with these d-pawn openings is just not playing that. So, for example, here I would play knight c6 in almost every position. Like, there's almost no reason I wouldn't. But in this case, yeah, I'm going to go back to focusing on castling, snork, and the knight can come here. I guess it kind of does resemble a London as black. The habits really just has you putting bishops on those squares where possible. So that's just the way it worked out here. And look, he's kind of doing the same thing with his knight. We'll castle here. Okay, he's going b4. We'll get our snorkel in. Bring the knight out, but not to c6 as we discussed. And again, if our bishop was for some reason locked in here, then I would probably develop it like that. Okay, plays c4. And again, we're not really in the capturing business anymore. So this is a nice, solid structure. And we can bring, yeah, just all the pieces into the middle. So I much prefer something like this with the knight here rather than pawns like this with the knight on c6. I think that's a big, well, it's a rather small adjustment, really just knight here instead of knight here, but I think it makes a big difference. He takes, let's take and open everything up towards the center. That definitely feels good. Rook there. Let's complete our rooks to the middle. Brings the queen out. Maybe the knight in makes sense. Okay, got trades to make once again. More trades. And the knight on d7. Well, it makes a lot of sense, right? We bring it to f6 and maybe into the middle. Okay, I was going to play knight there. He stopped it, but he stopped it while losing a center pawn. So we get to just capture here. Okay, capture here. And maybe capture here. And have a look at this, guys. We're playing an endgame where we actually do have a knight against a bishop, but we have other pieces on the board. So we have our pawns unintentionally set up. This is just good habits and what it can lead to. This bishop has a lot of pawns that are on the same color. Our knight and our bishop have the pawns set up kind of on the opposite color of the bishop. So it just means that there's no way I would ever want to trade either one of these pieces for the bishop. However, I would trade either one of these pieces for the knight because it would mean that my opponent only has the bishop left. Like the knight becomes the best piece because in comparison, the bishop is bad. So I would be very interested in some way to take the knight. So we need to think about that as our idea. Obviously, we still need to bring our king to the center and do, the basic things, but okay, let's see. Let's improve our pieces. And for example, if the king goes here, bishop check and bishop takes knight already looks like a great idea. Okay. Let's see how he wants to continue. You can imagine, okay, plays this. I don't mind the capture. You can imagine here that based on what we've been saying, I'm playing g6 because I want to do what next? think squares, colors. H5, yeah. This puts all my pawns on light squares, especially the fixed pawns, the ones that matter. And you'll notice that the two that remain are on dark squares. Not that great because the bishop can only defend them, whereas both of our pieces can attack them comfortably. So all of a sudden that becomes a pretty nice idea. All right, let's make a pass pawn. It's always smart. And now our opponent is basically going to be defending these two pawns the rest of the game. This immediately makes me think that perhaps a very smart place to put a piece might be f5. Well, it's not rocket science. It attacks both of them. That's it. Now, do I care about the knight taking the bishop? Absolutely not. I told you guys, I'm dreaming of this exchange. So I'll play this move and not even look back at this. Like, maybe my opponent thinks that's kind of an achievement, but it's far from it. That's exactly what I've been trying to do the entire endgame. If the knight goes here, I'm going to also take it, like, without thinking, just immediately. Because once again, it's trading the bishop for the knight, which is, as we know, what I've been trying to do the entire time. He moves the bishop. I mean, everything's hanging here. This looks like a nice trap by him to try to make that happen. I'm going to move my king onto a light square. We can also take in the center here, so I feel pretty confident that we'll get something. And this is what I mean. Let's take here and just observe this position and enjoy how good it is. We have both pawns. White has two pawns. We can literally take both of them. I'm not even in a rush to do so because it's just so winning. Okay, you're going to save that one. Sure, I'll take this one. And the bishop's the most useless piece on the board. I've got 3 pawns that it can't touch. And okay, in this position, we'll just win the bishop, but we could just bring the knight back, and I got a pass pawn here and pass pawn on the H file, right? Becomes very easy. We've had the same endgame almost 3 times in a row here. And every opening's been different, so it's not like we've been repeating the exact same game. But even understanding something as stupid as looking at the guy's bishop and just putting the pawns on the opposite color, I mean, so simple, really. It's like one concept. Does my opponent understand this? No, he doesn't have a clue. And it's not his fault necessarily. It doesn't mean he's a bad player, but he just doesn't know about that one item because he's just letting it happen to both of his pawns here. And then I know he doesn't understand it because he played knight takes bishop. You would never do that because you can see that the result is completely hopeless. Like, look at this. I've got 4 pawns you can't touch. I could literally go in a circle and you would have nothing to do. I'm attacking 2 pawns at once. You're going to defend this one with your king, this one with your bishop, and you're just going to have 2 pieces defending pawns for the rest of the game. I got a pawn over here. Like, I'm going to make a queen. You guys also don't have a clue? Well, that's why you're here, Nerlin. So that you get a clue. Ridley Woodnut. It's true. I know Ridley personally. Let's go in the center here. Out with the knight. He's going to do the same thing, and it looks like it's just going to be a 4-knight fiesta here. Bishop out as well. And I am going to snork early here just to prevent that bishop. And all right, we're copying each other. Me and old Ridley. Let's offer the trade. Okay, I think we just stick to our level 3 habits, which is basically, I mean, if we can expand in the center, both pawns, we just do, right? That's a good thing. Our bishop gets hit, so let's stay aimed at the center. Not sure I really understand that move, but bring the rook into the middle. Whoa! Okay, energy there. F4. All right, we'll take that. And I guess just keep developing, bring the pieces over. Okay, we have the pieces in. We're snorked up. We're loving life. Time to get our knight into the middle. That looks pretty damn good. He goes here. Makes sense. Red dot. Keep applying that habit effectively. He's going to defend the pawn. Let's continue to get our pawns going ourselves. The red dot habit still so effective. Here we go. Knight there. We'll start by taking that. Okay, the rook's actually back hitting our pawn. I mean, we could defend it. We could bring the king back. I think I'm going to bring the king back for now. If he goes here, I'll just go back. And we'll, hit him with the old repeat. Oh, that's a problem. Got to get our queen out of the way now. It's like a red dot on our queen. Not very nice. Oh my god, dude. This again? Okay, I'm back over here. I'm not letting you get a red dot on me. Nope. No sirree Bob, as the white people say. Queen f3. Not sure what the guy's doing, but maybe we can double up here. Okay, the guy's got a red dot on me. That didn't take long. That didn't take long at all. Damn. Well, this is kind of uncomfortable. I mean, I don't know. Queen here. I mean, this is getting brutal. Oh my goodness. Well, what the hell is this move? We'll just take it like... Okay, well, we'll just... Double pin? What the hell is this? Double pin? No, this is advanced witchcraft here. Well, this is tough, guys. This is tough. Let's go into the center and offer a trade. The very least, try to trade the queens. If I trade the queens, I feel like I have an outside shot. Like, get that thing off the board, you know? C4. I think what we need is we need like a big random king up. That's it. This move is what we're here for. Bring our king to the middle. I think it's not unreasonable to bring the king to the middle now. Okay, take it back. I take it back. Rook here. We just have to be patient, guys. There's a dividend to be paid somewhere in there. There's a dividend to be paid somewhere in there. We just have to wait for it. No, okay. Well, it was fun while it lasted. You know, GG, good fun. Well, I'm allowed to play Hope Chess when I'm losing. Boo me. Bishop needs to move. God damn it. Any hope for me? Nope. None. Oh, this is rough here. Now, we don't want to take that. I'm not sure that it really matters, but just have to get a checkmate. There's nothing he can do to stop it. Well, we tried. Stick was on the ice firmly till the end. And you know what? I feel proud saying I threatened checkmate and won in a really brutal game. It was possible that we won. It was. It could have happened. At least we gave ourselves an option. Yeah. Rook e4. Ridley would nut. GG. Honestly, a really nice tactical game from the opponent. We took the center. Don't know that we agreed with that, but the knight in the center was super powerful, and the red dots, and honestly, this crazy knight move were super impressive. Like, this is a lethal move, right? Can you even feel bad losing to a move like this? I mean, we click game review only to be told what we already know, which is that knight f6 is a clear brilliancy. Knight f6 is best. Best? That's it? Best? Of course it's best. It's a goddamn brilliancy. What? This is not even fair. This is crazy. Now I understand the SJWs. I mean, I'm offended on his behalf. This is not right. Doesn't make sense here. Knight f6 is crazy. Many an option on best defense, but queen in the middle looked like the best habits move. Either way, we're going to be down some material. Well, I thought this was quite a nice move. Obviously, Engine doesn't agree. It's way too tough. On to the next one here. Guy played well. Can't complain about our opening. Thought it was pretty good.